Over in New York, a dramatic day in court for Sean Diddy Combs. The hip-hop mogul's legal team is pulling what many are calling a Hail Mary, a last-ditch effort to win a new trial and reduce what could be a lengthy prison sentence, 12 weeks after a jury found the bad boy her guilty on multiple prostitution-related charges. Diddy's defense returned to court, arguing that the statute used to convict him should never have been applied in the first place. Inside the packed Manhattan federal courtroom, E.T. was there as Diddy appeared before the judge wearing a tan jail-issued uniform. Witnesses say he looked noticeably thinner, but calm, exchanging smiles and brief words with his mother and children, who were seated in the front row. He was allowed a short visit, roughly 10 minutes, to speak quietly with his family before proceedings began. One insider described the moment as emotional but hopeful, saying, "He told them this is just one day closer to me coming home." As the hearing got underway, Diddy's attorneys laid out a detailed appeal motion that they believe could append his conviction. Their main argument, that the federal prostitution statute used against Combs was misapplied, that it didn't fit the specific conduct prosecutors described at trial. One member of Diddy's legal team told reporters afterward, this case was about consent, adult relationships, and business disputes, not trafficking or coercion. The law they used was never intended for this. Prosecutors pushed back hard, calling the argument a desperate attempt to rewrite the facts. They pointed 2 weeks of testimony from witnesses, who claimed the mogul maintained a sprawling operation that exploited young women under the guise of modeling, music, and nightlife deals. In court, the lead prosecutor countered, the jury heard overwhelming evidence. These were not misunderstandings, they were crimes. The judge listened intently for over an hour, occasionally pressing both sides for clarity. At one point, he interrupted the defense, saying, "You're asking me to set aside a jury verdict. That's not something I do lightly." By the end of the session, the judge didn't issue a ruling. Instead, he said he would take the motion under advisement, noting, "Both sides have made strong arguments. I will review everything carefully before making a decision." That decision, whether to grant a new trial or let the conviction stand, is expected in the coming days. For now, Diddy's sentencing remains scheduled for next Friday. If the conviction holds, the 55-year-old faces up to 30 years in federal prison. Still, the defense insists there's hope. "This is far from over," one of Diddy's attorneys said outside court. "We're going to fight every inch of this case until justice is served." Inside sources tell E.T. that the music mogul has been leaning heavily on his family during this period, including his mother, Janice Combs, who has attended nearly every hearing, and his eldest son, Justin. "He's keeping his spirits up," a family friend shared. "He's praying, reading, and staying focused on the long game." Since his conviction, Diddy has been held at a federal detention facility in Brooklyn, reportedly under tight security and limited contact privileges. Those close to him say he's been spending time writing music, journaling, and meditating habits that have helped him stay grounded amid what many describe as the most difficult period of his life. The case against Diddy stems from a multi-year federal investigation that began after a series of explosive civil lawsuits accused him of sexual misconduct, coercion, and racketeering. Several of those lawsuits have since been settled out of court, but federal prosecutors pursued criminal charges under statutes normally reserved for trafficking and organized criminal activity. During the trial, prosecutors painted Diddy as the orchestrator of what they called a shadow enterprise, one that allegedly used his music, empire, and celebrity status to recruit and exploit women. Defense attorneys argued that the relationships in question were consensual and that the government had stretched the law to make headlines. Ultimately, the jury sided with the prosecution on key counts, leading to his conviction earlier this year. Now, his legal team is pinning its hopes on this new trial motion, a rare and uphill battle. Legal experts say overturning a jury verdict is difficult, but not impossible. Former federal prosecutor Rachel Goldman told E.T., "You have to show a major legal error, something like the wrong statute being used, or evidence that never should have been admitted. It's a high bar." Diddy's attorneys believe that's exactly what happened. They claim prosecutors misinterpreted the intent of the law, effectively criminalizing private behavior. They also accuse the government of sensationalizing the case for publicity, citing what they call a media-driven prosecution. Meanwhile, the music industry continues to react to Diddy's downfall. Once considered hip-hop royalty, his empire from Bad Boy Entertainment to Sean John and Ciroc has largely unraveled since the guilty verdict. Endorsement deals have been suspended, streaming platforms have reduced his catalog visibility, and several of his former business partners have distanced themselves publicly still. A few longtime collaborators, including producers and artists he mentored, have quietly expressed support, emphasizing their hope that truth will prevail. One industry insider told E! Love him or hate him, Diddy shaped a generation of music. What happens next could define his legacy forever. As the courtroom showdown continues, fans and critics alike are waiting to see whether this latest maneuver, this legal Hail Mary, can truly change the course of the case. For now, the countdown is on. Diddy's sentencing remains on the calendar for next Friday, pending the judge's decision on whether to grant him a new trial. Until then, the mogul remains behind bars, facing the reality that his future, his freedom, and his once untouchable reputation all hang in the balance. As one observer put it, after leaving the courthouse, you could feel the tension in the air. It's Diddy's last stand.